So we've come a long way and we're nearly done with the design process. I'm going to finish up our notes on this and then show you my example of what I do for. So after building your prototype, we are then going to go back to our criteria. Now, you check your criteria to remember what you're measuring and think about how you're going to measure it. Because the next step is to develop a test that measures this criteria. Now, this could be done in a variety of ways. If you're doing something like aesthetics or the way it looks, it may come down to developing a chart where you grade different aspects that you could improve. I can help you with that. Join our video chat. 3, test your prototype with this data and collect information. So ideally, you want to test the original model if you're improving something, and then test your prototype and collect information to see how well you did. At that point, you're going to determine if it succeeded or failed. Now, failure is a beautiful thing because when you can observe failure, you can then think, why did it fail? And that gives you one aspect that you can improve the next time around. After we've done our testing, redesign. This is where the design loop is a loop. So we test our prototype and use the information that we gathered, whether it succeeded or failed, and if it failed, we hypothesize why it failed, because that gives us information on how to improve it. Final thing, you look at your prototype and you define a problem that you want to improve, just like the first step of the design process. That's the full circle, and it goes around and around and around. Now let me share what I'm doing for this last step. My problem was the viewing angle, and so then I drew up some brainstorm sketches, and then I come up with a little bit of detail. If I'm sitting right here, and this is where I'm going to use my my cell phone, what I can do is try and measure what a good angle would be. So this is a 45, 45, 90 degree triangle. The angles are what give this triangle its name. So when I sit here, I can see straight down this angle. So I like the idea of a 45 degree viewing angle. I then took my original, which has a 90 degree viewing angle. I set it up so I can have that 45 degree viewing angle, and I drew a line. Following my design right here, I then build my prototype with this model. Using the materials that I specified, just paper and scissors, I then cut my line at a 45 degree angle, and then I actually folded up my page and realized I would need to cut this back flap in order to fit into this smaller triangle. I then put it in, and this is my prototype. Nice and tight, and I have my prototype. I have my 45 degree angle, and now we're going to test to see how it goes. Get my cell phone, and I put it in here. Looks like I am identifying a problem already. That seems to be okay. So now I've got my phone set up, and I have to test it. So the testing criteria that I identified was the viewing angle. My original was 90 degrees. I wanted it to be 45 degrees. I then get either a protractor, like this, or I get a triangle with a 45 degree. Actually, protractor would be better. And now what I'm going to do is set up my protractor and test the angle. It looks like I have a 43 degree angle. It's going down a little bit. Now for additional testing, I'm going to put it this way. Okay. It very precariously or dangerously seems like it's working this way. This is a pretty good prototype. And by testing, by identifying the angle, I know that another problem. I know that I pretty much achieved the goal, 43 degrees. I think what I could do is just be a little bit more careful with my cuts to achieve a 45-degree angle. In my testing, I would write down my 43 degrees. I would say this is successful, but now I can identify two problems. Problem number one is that this fell down before because this back flap doesn't have support. I would have to figure out a way to either support this back flap or, honestly, from testing it, this front flap seems to be doing its job. I don't think that's an important problem. At this last stage where I'm identifying a new problem, it would be the stability of the stand so that I could improve that and make this a little bit better. You have a document in Google Classroom that has all of the questions that I need you to answer. You'll also need to upload some pictures to the document, and I want to show you how to do that at the end of this video. Here we go. So I'm going to start by just shrinking my video. I'm going to go to a document. Here's my document. If I want to add a picture, I can just go Insert, Image, Camera. It may not work yet because I have this camera for the video feed. But then you would take a picture, select it, and input it. I do appreciate that you've been sending me pictures in email, but I require that your pictures are in your document. Once you've finished your testing and your sentence for the redesign, you're all finished. I hope you have a great spring break.